Okay, guys, welcome. It is day 418. I'm on day 19 of recovery. I can't even believe I'm saying that. I started eating on June 25th, or I started getting IV bags on June 25th. I can't even believe it's already July 14th. Wow. So here I am. I'm still laying down. I still can't walk totally properly. I can walk a little bit now. I got a little bit of a headache yesterday because I didn't drink enough water. Oh no, that wasn't yesterday. That was today. So, and I'm getting lots of hot flashes, like I'm sweating a lot. So I said that in the last video, but it's not stopping. So I'm going to probably eat for another, I don't know. I'm going to try and buy a weight scale so that I can weigh myself and hopefully at least be 145, 150 pounds at least. We'll see what happens, because you gain a lot of weight right away from water weight, but you don't gain mass. Like this hand right here is still very numb. It's actually getting worse. Like I can't feel my pinky. I can move it, but my pinky and the whole side of my palm right here, I can't. It feels numb, like it's asleep. And same with this finger. So that means that in my elbow, in the crux of my elbow, like right there between the bones, this nerve runs from my wrist all the way down my arm like this, but down through the elbow underneath. There's a fat lining between the nerve and the other parts of my arm, and if it is my ulnar nerve, that means my body's eating it. But it can potentially, I think, grow back, or it can be healed somehow. There's a window, but the hospital is not taking it seriously. They're not doing an MRI. So I just put out this massive master package to the hospital, to 2 hospitals. They were supposed to look after me and made me recover by myself. After, apparently, there's never been anybody as an ectomorph, which means like a thin body like mine, high metabolism, that has done a hunger strike like this over 60 days and survived on pure plain water. And the other hunger strikes couldn't be verified that they were plain water. They're saying that these guys that made the hunger strikes to 94 days were probably being given salt water in their jugs from the guards, because they didn't want a public stunt, like martyrs. A couple of the men died, but the others made it a month longer. No, it doesn't make any sense. The human body dies from lack of sodium very quickly. So anyway, this video is going to be to Jubilee again, and I'm going to keep recovering. But she made a video about some of my private messages to her. So I want to say right off the bat, Jubilee, I'm going to tag you in the comments or in this video so you can watch it. But oh, my hand is just hurting. I chose the wrong hand to hold this up, but I don't take very many videos with my high quality props in it and my heat bottles, which I haven't been using because I've been waking up in sweats, like complete drenched in sweat. So it feels kind of weird because this was my best friend for like 2 months, and now I don't want him anymore. The neglected hot water bottle. That's my old vinegar bottle because I'm poor, like I said. So I'm feeling a little bit jubilant because I'm eating. I just had some like little vegan Cheeto things that my friend bought me that are super healthy. Well, healthy enough. Because I'm hungry right now. I want to make this video before I went and ate anything. So this is for you, Jubilee. But starting off this video, you got to be careful about private messages, right? Like I know my rights very well because of all the legal stuff I've done here. And I'm watching what's happening with this other guy you're talking about on there, and that you comment on a lot of people's public stuff, which is okay. But when it comes to the private stuff, you gotta be careful, because the law does protect you from being stopped in making content out of other people's public content. You can do that unless it's copyrighted. But when you make your own commentary on something, and it's original commentary, you're allowed to do that. It's like free use clauses. But when it's a private message and you haven't asked that person, that's not the same thing. I'm just thinking, I'm getting these messages. I'm going to double verify that right now. Because you can record something under one party rule in Canada. And Jubilee, you're in the same country as me, so it applies to you too. It's called one party rule. And it allows you to record anything anybody says to you if you are a party to that conversation. That means if you were invited to the conversation, you're allowed to record it. You can't eavesdrop on other people, though. It has to be kind of in a private room where you're only recording yourself and that other person and whoever else was invited to the conversation. Okay. Okay. I know that you can broadcast your own medical notes because if you're at a public institution, you have a legal right to your medical notes and you can do whatever you want with them. So that's fine because the people that you're dealing with are legal professionals, or they're professionals like doctors, nurses, and whatever. So it says here, in Canada, while you are legally permitted to record a conversation that you are a participant in under one-party consent rules, broadcasting it to the world or sharing it without consent can expose you to severe legal risks, including civil lawsuits for breach of privacy or defamation. So that's kind of the difference, right? If you record a professional at a public institution on your medical rights or your anything to do with you, then you can do whatever you want with your records. But this is a private setting where you're broadcasting to other people who are not a part of the conversation, right? They weren't invited to the conversation when the conversation was happening. I didn't invite them to your chat on TikTok, right? So luckily, I don't think I said too many things that were personal and actually private. Luckily, my sister and my grandmother were open about their illnesses. Okay, but if I would have said something about other family members or anybody else that I was entrusting you with, and you're broadcasting that, these are very private people. So we have to be careful, right? We're not dealing with public institutions right now. We're dealing with private individuals, and there's different laws for individuals. Okay? All right, so just be careful with that. And I actually I took a minute there to think about it. I'm like, maybe I'll just look it up to guarantee, and it is how I remember it. So, so that's where I'm at. And, yeah, with this one, I don't mind you, like, just, if we're going to be doing that, right, broadcasting each other's private messages, then, you know, I gotta be careful about what I message for other people's sake. That's the only reason why I'm saying that. But everything else I say to you, it's fine. It's when it involves other people where it's like, be careful, right? Because what if that was somebody's medical information? Like, what if it's somebody that nobody knows has a medical condition, and you go and out them on social media? You know, that's and they're like very sensitive about that. You could get sued by them, right? So I'm trying to protect you. Just be very careful with that. Okay. Let's see here. All right. So you made 31 comments on my voice recordings to you. So 31 is a lot. Even if I spent 1 minute on it, it's going to be 20 minutes of recordings, or it's going to be half an hour. So 40 minutes is what this will be. But I think I'm going to blast through them a little bit. I didn't put timestamps on the first ones, but I did on towards halfway through because it had some pretty good comments. Okay, so the first thing that you mentioned in response to me was, you said my sister and her schizophrenia. And do you have schizophrenia? Was I implying you had schizophrenia? I was implying that I think you said you had a delusional disorder that was clinically given and you accept that, and that this other guy was talking about it or something like that. And I was talking about flow rolls and flow stages, and you didn't comment on the flow rolls and flow stages, which was the main point of my comment. You just focused on the mental illness, but I think you have limits is my point, and that your limits limit your ability to be an executor. And my whole point was to say, I think I have a pretty accurate and fair and compassionate model of analyzing your behavior and making an estimate based on those facts, right? And you're doing the same thing to me, and I don't mind it, as long as the conversation can be grounded in reason. So that was my main point, was to say, okay, I think you're supposed to be a strategist and maybe an influencer, but an executor and a relationship builder. I said the reasons why I think that in terms of building a cohesive organizational structure, which is what you're trying to do, what I'm trying to do is build these movements to save the world. So it's a relevant conversation. But yeah, my sister and my grandmother have delusions. And even if you don't have schizophrenia, you still have, I guess, delusions, I guess, right? So if that's false, this is a good time to correct that. All right. My main point, though, is to say, how do we work together? And you have to have some models for that. And I was providing one. That was the main point. And you didn't comment on it at all. So, I mean, it's like, we need to move forward, okay? So you said that Brian Rose is a scam artist and that I'm trying to raise money for a scam artist. No, Brian Rose did not have any lawsuits against him. So the people that wanted their money back actually got it. But the way that they had to do it is they had to go to their banks. And that's why he's not actually being sued by anybody. Unlike other people who are real scam artists. It was just that some people felt like he was overcharging. And you get that everywhere. I think that he bit off more than he could chew with the mayoral election, and that people weren't happy with how he paid for these digital streaming services because it's super expensive to make them. That's why we offload them onto YouTube and Jitsi and other things, other platforms. And that's what he was trying to do. Because even with using another platform, it still costs $60,000 per broadcast. That's a lot. So I actually should have responded to these right away. But they're fading a little bit in my head. But anyway, I asked, who's your billionaire friend? And what I want to say is, like, even with the details that you've told me so far, the fact that you're saying, well, it was your neighbor, it was people you ran into. Well, the thing is, if you're running into these billionaires, or Elon Musk was living beside your sister, or your residence is a high value item to a lot of these marketers, because your zip code gives a lot of information about you. Because people live in gated communities, they live in certain areas. So Elon Musk doesn't just live beside anybody. Billionaires don't just live beside anybody. So either they're lying to you and you're in a low-income like neighborhood, or you have high status. You're living in a high status area, and either you got somebody looking over you, a family member, or somebody who's wealthy, or you're from a wealthy family, or have a wealthy name, or something like that. I know you personally don't have wealth, but if your disability payments are paying for everything, your rent, everything like that, who owns the property? Does your family own the property? And if not, then there's something truly bizarre going on here. Why is a billionaire in a mixed neighborhood with disabled individuals? It doesn't make any sense in terms of how geographics work and demographics work. So there's something unique going on there. And usually it is explained by Pareto categories, which is facial beauty, social beauty, wealth beauty, body beauty, culture beauty, or IQ beauty. So we can narrow in on that. But what I'm pointing out is if it is happening, it's still unusual, and it says something about you. Okay? And it might be that you're from a family that is actually high status. Even if you've been rejected from that family, you're still in an approximate zone of them. So, or you just have extraordinary luck, which is very unlikely. But that'd be nice to have clarity on. It's already 16 minutes into this video. Holy. I said I was receptive to your disability, but you said I was burned out because hospital needed to center me. So you're pointing out a contradiction, right? You're saying that I can't be hyperproductive, saying I'm hyperproductive, big in the hospital to get me back on track, right? Get me back together. And yet I'm saying I'm receptive to your disability because I'm saying the way we pay people is going to change. We're going to pay by relative reward to your capacity, not measuring you against all these talented, God-gifted, 10 out of 10 CEOs that have everything, beauty, social, everything. And you turn that into a comment about hospitals centering me and all this stuff. The reality is you can still be productive and still be physically unwell, right? So I was sitting in my bed doing a lot of work with my body, my organs failing because my brain was still working quite well. And, I had 2 or 3 days puking where I was starting to really go downhill. And at that point I said, I need to get some help because I pushed the limits, but it was meaningful for me. And the reason why it's meaningful is that it motivates a lot of people. It just does. So I wouldn't call that burnout though. I would call that commitment to a task that is challenging. And for me, I wasn't even completely burned out. I was still working. And I thought, if we don't achieve all the blessings on this one, we're going to have to hold another meeting right away. So I think you're conflating two things there. And I was still productive in the hospital. I was still messaging people and writing things down and responding to people, even when I was in there. Puking my guts out. It was when I was sitting in the wheelchair where it started to get hard because I couldn't hold on to things and do my phone at the same time. And I was really in a lot of pain because they made me sit up in a whole bunch of things. When I'm sitting in my environment, I'm pretty good. But when they're making me do a bunch of things that are not great, I'm unproductive physically, which is fine because that's not my strength, right? They don't need me to be physically strong it's the mental stuff, it's the strategy, it's the planning. That's the thing that needs to get done. And I can do that while being physically weak. Okay, misanthropy. I think you might have misunderstood that. Misanthropy just means like people who don't believe in working, right? Making a living. And you're saying it's about streaming, like it was all a bunch of men, patriarchy. And you said I was mansplaining. But I think that you might be mansplaining in a female sexed body, right? You're mansplaining to me. So I think there's a little bit of hypocrisy there where I'm just trying to say you don't like to work in traditional labor, like writing things down, making strategies, doing your dishes. There's a lot of things that you can't do. And I'm not a misanthrope. I like to work. So I don't mind doing my dishes. I don't mind doing all these things when I see it as meaningful and purposeful. Which now it is. It's like it's starting to bother me in here. So now that I'm getting strength, I'm going to try and clean it. Probably in another week. Hopefully I get more strength here, but it's really, I'm really recovering slowly. Like by this point on all my other hunger strikes, I was walking and You know, I was still, you know, when I was at the courthouse, when I was walking long distances, I was still using the wheelchair, because saving every calorie matters. You're still not wanting to burn a lot of energy when you're trying to gain as much fat as you can. So yeah. So I'm saying that this inability for you to work is not a patriarchy thing. It's a limitation that you have, I think, just with your disability and your attitude towards it. You said something about my sister. Oh yeah, you conflated my sisters. You conflated my older sister with my younger sister, because you're pretty angry and being kind of superficial as a part of what's called pathos instead of mythos or logos. So it's like ordinary consciousness looks for the negatives in things. So that's what you look like you were trying to do. But I was making a comment about my older sister. And my older sister doesn't own this place, because you're making a comment that I was being contradictory again or hypocritical, that I'm you know, blaming my sister for having all these things, yet she's supporting me with this house. And I'm like, no, you're conflating two different sisters. The sister that has the mental illness is in a group home being taken care of by my family members because she really can't work. She's seeing the devil if she gets off her drug. Like, it's extreme. And we found out it's because she actually experienced very severe trauma when she was young. And that's what happens when you're in poverty, in the poverty trap. And I got out lucky. My other siblings got out lucky. She didn't get out lucky. And they didn't catch it in time. And they switched her drugs and they fried her brain in some ways. It's really tragic. I'm hoping CRISPR can reverse it if she's open to that, but we love her the way she is. And I just feel like she would have made a great mother and all these things. She's very loving. But oh well, life is life, right? But the sister that owns this place is the surgeon, is a different sister. And I have a different relationship with her, and we made a deal and a bunch of things. But I'm getting support, and I'm asking for support because we don't have any time left. And I just so happen to be gifted with clarity and vision and knowing what the reality is and being able to face reality when nobody else wants to. This is 22 minutes already, and we're like on question 5. In all honesty, nobody's ever going to watch all of these. Like, after you get about 5 points, 10 points, then the brain just like deletes the rest of it. So which one should I address here? Yeah, you keep making fun of my hunger strikes here, that I'm starving myself, and I'm going to go back to starving any day now. Well, in probably 20 days is when I'll probably go back on. We'll see how much I weigh. I'm going to try and buy a scale. Because this one is not, I can't wing this one. This one was extremely, like, I might have permanent damage in my hand. But it's manageable. I'd rather have that than the destruction of the world. I just watched another video tonight of a guy on A Diary of a CEO. Go watch it. He was an OpenAI forecaster. They hired him to be this forecaster and predict what AI was going to do and all this. And he didn't like what he saw, and it really concerned him. So OpenAI was the AI company that was supposed to save us, right? With Sam Altman and all them. And it's now a for-profit somehow. And all the safety crews saw that something was wrong. So they all ditched and started Anthropic. But this guy, they tried to shut him up, this forecasting guy, they tried to shut him up by paying him $2 million in an anti-disparagement clause, which is a fancy way of saying he can't talk bad about the company. It's a gag order, basically. And I have a similar gag order happening to me, which I'll make another video about. I'm going to make a LinkedIn post about it. I just added, I think, 20 more Harvard connections today. So I want to speak openly about this company. And if they sue me for defamation, I'm just going to say, look, this is the truth. This is what happened. But I might make a deal with them and say, well, look, I won't make many more posts about this. It's already out there. I just want to get it out there. I said, but maybe we can make a deal that you can give me back the money and give a real chance to get this. It was a TED Talk company. So anyway, yeah, I think I got a lot of things to say to you, but I could just make private videos. But it's kind of nice for people to follow along a little bit. I kind of wanted to record yours and do the fancy thing, but this is good enough for now. You don't need me to explain my disability to her, but I need to understand it. And if I understand it, I can say things that I might say, I think you might be slipping into something. And you can deny it, but I'm allowed to have my opinion too. And if you want to stop my opinion, then you're the oppressor, or could be the oppressor, especially since my comments are good-natured. They're not meant to harm, right? It's just saying, if we're going to build something to save the world, we have to be realistic about it and our abilities. And you're kind of good like that. Like you're saying, you don't want to do dishes, you can't do all these things. It's very draining. When you get out of flow state, you get tired quickly. And you can go and get radiation therapy and it can kill those tumors. At least if you go to the advanced one that my friend runs in Calgary, Alberta. But they only take 200 patients a year. It's like a very special kind of radiation that it doesn't actually kill the tissue surrounding. It's like very precise. They have to use like an AI machine thing for it. Ultimately, though, I think CRISPR is probably going to be the thing that's used, but brain tumor is not ready yet, as you know. My analysis of you is fair. 8 things she can use. Oh, right. When I was explaining the 4 roles and the 4 flow stages, you took that in a wrong way, I think. I'm saying you can use these tools to measure other people too, and help them measure themselves. Because we need to know these talents and know where people will flow and give them tools to help them measure that. When I say I don't get triggered, and you said, well, you talk passionately on my show, yeah, but passion is not always a trigger. What I mean trigger is something is never going to be negative enough to trigger me to give up on the vow of unabandonment. I actually said that in the video. So I already explained that. I mean trigger as getting so unhinged the seat of compassion is lost and you just abandon people. And that never happens to me. I'll speak passionately for sure, but I won't give up on you or anybody. And what that means is not giving up on seeing the goodness in you and returning over and over again looking for the goodness. Whereas a lot of people are like, you're bad, you're terrible, and you're always going to be terrible, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you suck, and it's always going to be that way, and goodbye, I'm never going to talk to you, and you deserve to die, goodbye. Like, that's what abandonment looks like. There's no return. There's no ever looking for the good in somebody. And that's because that person needs you to be a mirror. They need you to be the holder of their pain. And that's the lower position. About my blood results being unusually good from the doctors, you said you're conflating. They were saying good things about me. Like the doctors were saying my blood was unusual and that my blood was unusually good. So they're saying nice things about me. But then you're trying to make it sound like a contradiction in that, well, why would you sue them then? And it's because they can say nice things about me and still do bad things that are dangerous in other areas. Like, for example, one woman pumped me full of dextrose and sugar without putting thiamine into my blood first. Thiamine is B1. It's the first vitamin that depletes in your body. If you give your body sugar or minerals or anything, it strips your blood of phosphate, of thiamine. And thiamine is used for phosphate. It goes and it tags all the cells that are depleted, and it tags them so the bloodstream can feed the cells and replenish them and grow them and split them, and it depletes your blood of thiamine really fast. So if your blood doesn't have any thiamine in it, which mine didn't, then it pulls it out of your brain. And that's what they did. My brain was swollen. And how we were told, how we could tell that, is that the next day I couldn't see far. Like my vision was doubled. When I saw beyond my toes in my hospital bed, everything was doubled. And that's never happened to me before. I've like clear vision, long distance and short distance. I don't need glasses. So that was a very bizarre sensation for me, and I couldn't converge the image. And I was like, what happened to me? Something bad has happened to me. And I'm talking to the internal medicine doctors and telling this straight to their faces. I'm like, I want an MRI right now. Did you guys just give me brain damage? What is going on here? I thought you told me my minerals were good. And it turns out that double vision is a textbook example of what's called Wernicke's encephalopathy, which means you have swollen brain caused by that thiamine deficiency. So they drained my brain of the remaining thiamine that might have been in there to the point that it swole my brain that I couldn't see properly. Luckily, it went away, and then I only have fuzzy vision now. So we'll see if that heals, just like my hand. But that's extremely serious. That is extremely bad. And there's a few other things too, like they didn't even check my phosphate levels and said my blood was good and then discharged me. That's completely reckless. That's the main thing they should have checked was phosphate. That's a sign of refeeding syndrome. And when I went to this other hospital, 3 doctors analyzed me quickly and hostilely. And then they discharged me. And then when I checked my medical results after, like my blood test, because in Alberta here we have something called My Health, and it's like an online version that you can see your blood test right away. So I went on there with AI and I took a video of it. I sent it to the AI and it says, where's your like phosphate blood tests when you're at this other hospital? And I said, well, it should be there. Like they all tested my phosphate. I went and I looked over. None of those 3 doctors checked my phosphate level, but then said that I was good to go home on severe refeeding syndrome. And then later on, when I went to a different hospital, when I went back in the ambulance and didn't feel right, they did check my phosphate and it was dropped. And they had to prop it back up quickly with a bag of phosphate. And then prescribed me a bunch of phosphate, like high availability effervescent tablets. So that's reckless. That's dangerous. I could have died at home. Who knows what could happen? Once your phosphate gets low, you start getting confused and everything gets all messed up. So I made a big package yesterday about criticizing those things. Okay, so you're conflating a couple of things. You're making my recordings look worse than they are. They're nonsensical, but the reality is you're not properly informed. You're doing sort of like this sort of cheap version of clickbaiting. And it's kind of like grandstanding, because you get a platform and then nobody's going to look into the real solutions, and it's just, you're making me look bad and making yourself look like you're intelligent. But the reality is, if people actually heard what's really going on, your comments make you look very superficial. They make you look that way. So if that's the case, I'll just like keep these very short and just like keep saying, hey, do you want to do the florals? Like keep it very content focused and like, are we moving towards I won't get into any drama fights. I don't have time for dialectic like that. Like the Carlos thing and all of that, you know, I just won't give any content like that. I'll just say, yeah, you can make fun of like if I make content that's about the strategy and you critique the strategy and make fun of the strategy, that's fine, because you're actually giving exposure to people in ordinary consciousness. But it's getting the ideas to them. When it's kind of personal like this, it's kind of a low blow, like it's a low shot, especially since those are private recordings, right? If I was knowing that those were going to be shared, then I probably wouldn't have spent much time on them either, because I just want to save the world quickly. Like I want to make a movement together. And I see that you have some potential, right? That there's something that's not mental illness here. There's something grounded. And because you already admit that you do have some mental disorders because of the tumors, right? You have a nice like a really rare meta awareness where you're aware that you have a delusional disorder, which I might have misheard you. If that's not true, correct me. But you're aware that you have some kind of functional disability, but you're still very meta cognitively aware. So there's something rare going on here. And in terms of the fact that in the mega crisis, we're addressing the mental health crisis, it's very important to focus on that. To get somebody like that who knows what the mental health system is like and how bad it is, but is still grounded in their thoughts. And you have a lot of that. So, okay, we're at 34 minutes and we're only on like the first fifth of it. There's like a lot more to go through. Oh, no, it's not too bad actually. Should I keep going, or should I do a part 2? Maybe I'll do a part 2, actually. Okay, maybe I will, because I don't know how much room is on my phone. I might need to upload this and then delete it and then make the next one. So I kind of don't mind finishing on that note on this video, because like your rhetoric sounds good on the surface, but when it gets drilled into it, it sometimes lacks substance, right? Like it can come off as dilettantism. Like it sounds like you talk a good game, but when you get into the actual facts or the expertise or the professionalism, it's revealing that you might just have a high verbal IQ. We're gonna be careful with that. So, okay, the next comments is about your meetings, my meetings, and reciprocity. So I'll start the next video on that, because it gets closer out of the personal and more into like the working together, and the Kenyans and all the paying people and all that kind of stuff, and then I put timestamps. So this is all happening before in your video, like at 3 hour mark. 3 hour and 23 minutes is where your daughter hands you water, and I started recording there because that's proof to me that there's somebody else in the house. Like you didn't grab the water off of a desk, or you grabbed it out of the air. So it seems like somebody actually did hand you some water. Okay, so I'll leave it there. So if you want to go and check what I'm talking about, it's before 3 hours and 8 minutes and 23 seconds. So I'd probably say it's probably at the 2 hour, probably at the 3 hour mark is where I started listening, or maybe the 2 hour and 25 minute. But okay, so this is more for you, Jubilee, addressing the 31 critiques you made of me on my private recordings to you. So I will go through the rest just once more. Because you said some good things at the end that have some forward leading momentum. So when I started seeing that, I'm like, okay, it's not just dialectic. There's some sublation here. And whenever I see that, it's a sign of truth, it's a sign of God, it's a sign of progress, it's a golden thread that we're hanging on to. So with that, well, I'll try and get to the other ones on another recording. But until now, this is 37 minutes. And I hope it was clarifying. And I'm hungry right now, but I want to finish these, and then I'll eat, and then hopefully we can go to the next stage. Okay. And there's a Messiah election tomorrow, which I'd like to invite you to, Jubilee, but I know you're having problems with reciprocating that way, so that's why we're going to pick up the next recording on it. Okay, stay blessed, you guys. You know the wifey slogan. I haven't been saying the core recently, but the wifey slogan is, we can take our professional, personal, and academic lives and put them all into this movement, because we're doing holistic interventions. So for me, I'm looking for the wifey, and there's a slogan I made for her. She's so hardcore wise. I can't even remember now. What is it? If she's too hardcore wise for everybody else, she's just right for me. She's vegan, old soul, but young at heart, playful, inner child, and wakes up wanting to help people every morning, and has emotional resilience and an autotelic personality. Small things to ask. Okay, see you in the next video. Peace.